Many people would be quite surprised if we told them that Oracle was here talking LTE today at the Latin American LTE conference in Rio. But we found Leonard here, who's going to introduce himself and tell us a little bit more about why Oracle is at this conference. Leonard?
Sure. Sorry, my name is Leonard Sheahan. I work in an Oracle Communications division, and we are focused principally on the communications market, telephony, cable companies, etc. And the reason Oracle is focusing on communications is primarily, well, due to two reasons. One is we see a huge convergence between the IT technologies and network technologies, especially in the next generation space. And the second reason is we see within the communications industry as a whole, a large preponderance of custom software being developed by each and every operator historically, which raises their operational expenses. And those are the two main reasons why Oracle identified the communications segment as one in which we want to have a strong focus. And for the last 5 years, essentially, we've created a business unit focused purely on communications, and through organic development, as well as some mergers and acquisition work, we've built quite a compelling business division for communications.
How much would you say Oracle has invested in communications and developing this potential?
Well, from about 5 years standing start, we've grown the group. I can't disclose specific revenue numbers for that business, but through acquisitions of Portal software, for example, we acquired Metasolv software. We also brought in assets from BEA. I think also a recent acquisition of Sun Microsystems brought a lot of capability to the table, which plays very strongly in the communications market. That, along with a significant R&D investment in organic development of additional applications or integrating the applications we have acquired to make sure they flow seamlessly has been a major focus of ours.
And when customers come to you, what does Oracle tell them they should do? What are the solutions you guys provide?
Okay, so Oracle is best known in the IT world, so we tend to be well positioned in, our messaging is understood well by the CIO type buyer. Of recent times, with the convergence of network and IT, we're seeing increased opportunity to play in the network side of a communications provider into the CTO office per se. So both of those are now being key areas of focus for us as we move forward.
I was in your talk earlier and you were talking about optimizing the networks and doing so in a smart way. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Sure. I mean, I think if I step back a second, for LTE as a new technology as a whole, there's three areas we think that operators are going to be looking for solutions, or where we think we can add value to the LTE evolution. The first area is helping operators better plan, engineer, and deploy their networks, and then optimize their networks. And that's where we are in most markets today. They're just beginning to build out those LTE networks, and they want to do so in a more efficient way to minimize capital expenditures and the equipment they buy, and also to minimize the ongoing operational expenses, and not to recommit sins of the past. So that's the first step, and that's really the topic that we discussed today, given that this is a largely network-orientated event. The second area we think is, once they've launched the LTE service, the key thing for operators is how do they best monetize those services, because if they go with a prior business model of all-you-can-eat type of service, then they're not going to get the revenue returns that they really want for all the investment they're making. So we're looking at very flexible rating and charging and billing options to help operators better structure their engagements with customers so that they can better monetize and more equitably monetize those investments. The third area I think we see is, as LTE, currently the LTE evolution is in rolling out broadband internet access principally, or data access. However, as operators start to put more next generation applications, including the likes of voice, over their LTE network, which has not yet happened, then there's going to be need for operators to build new applications or have third parties build applications that can drive additional value for the operators, and they can then in turn monetize those in a lot more flexible manner. And so for that area we have a converged application server platform, which allows operators to build applications that will work on current generation technologies together with LTE technologies, and will let them support voice and other value-added services. So that's kind of a three-wave approach we see in the whole LTE market.